Welcome back, everyone, to the Sunday Spotlight. And tonight, we're going to the faraway post-apocalyptic nightmare realm of Michigan. NEOScavenger is a 2014 turn-based open-world hardcore survival/crazy hobo simulator by developer Blue Bottle Games. Another near-enough solo effort by Dan Fedor, a Dragon Age-era BioWare veteran who left the company in 2012 to do his own thing. There's some contributing credits, but this appears to mostly be his work. Now, this is sort of an RPG, but more like a Stalker Edge case, where it's not really about character development so much as progression by gear and player experience. In this case, you're an amnesiac fellow sprung from a cryotube to find the world has gone to hell, perhaps literally. Hey, eyes, good to see ya. Monsters have suddenly appeared, smaller cities have been abandoned, civilization has outright collapsed in some places. This is a true post-apocalypse in that you're late to the party and have no idea what had happened. Yeah, no kidding, Ivory. But yeah, where this differs from something like Fallout is that your biggest problems are mundane ones. I did not use hardcore lightly in the descriptor. You need food, water, protection from the elements, rest, all while finding out what happened to the world and how you got stuck in a tube. It's a fascinating experience with some surprisingly deep lore and strong writing, if you can survive long enough to get to it. Now, some of the challenge is intentional. You're meant to figure out through trial and error what keeps you alive and what will get you killed. But its UI is dense and you can very easily be overwhelmed by figuring out what to do and how to do it. This is not a looker. It's not a game that's going to hold your hand in places. You need to fend off cannibals migrating in from Alabama too. Oh, just wait. But yeah, many of your deaths will be to the basic elements of the game. Hypothermia, finding clean food and drink, infection from wounds, that kind of thing. Complicating matters is the permadeath nature of the challenge. If you die, no matter how or how late in the game, you start all the way over. And that's understandably going to put a lot of people off. It's a very niche experience. And yet, there's something captivating about it. Both the nitty-gritty of survival and the detail it puts into the world. Let's dive in, and I'll explain why this game sticks with me. So as mentioned, this is kind of an RPG in that you have some character customization, but solely through this trait system. These are essentially skills and attributes that govern your playstyle. Some with direct utility, like skill in ranged or melee combat. Some that give you information, like Eagle Eye, or... Uh-oh. Oh boy, did this freeze? Hold on a second. Son of a bitch. Okay, there we go. Oh, resume. Alright. Yeah, it's a very janky experience, unfortunately, which it comes with running in Adobe Flash. But yeah, some skills like Eagle Eye or Medic just give you more information. Each will give you options in the game's various encounters as well as having day-to-day uses. You can see they're weighted by points, the little gray pips in the top right, and you have a limited number of points. There's also these demerits down here which act like negative perks and let you select more of the above. Yeah, the horrors of the Great Lakes wastelands. Yeah, eyes knows. Yeah, let us reset this. So yeah, you got 15 points to play with by default. You can add more by adding these flaws down here. Yeah, botany, of all things, is this game's safe word. It lets you forage for fruits, mushrooms, clean water, and such on open ground, and identify both clean and poisonous food you find. Very important, very useful in the early game. We will not be taking this, but it's good for first-timers. Instead, we're going to be picking kind of a handyman route, with a range of technical skills and overall durability. And let's see, we want ranged. We want mechanic. Let's see, it leaves us one. Myopia is one of the less problematic flaws you can pick. It adds points. It basically reduces how far you can see on the world map and overall detection. Not a huge issue. We'll be trying to avoid combat anyway, and it gives us another point to play with. Let's see. We will want tracking, and let's see. I think we'll also want insomniac. That just means it's a little harder to stay asleep, but yeah, we'll be trying to... All you gotta do is just hit sleep again and cover that. Yeah, someone can code in Flash. Ew, brother, ew. Oh, boy. Oh, just wait, Ivory. Actually, yeah, you know what? I think that'll be a good thing. But yeah, we'll have a range of technical skills and overall durability. There's a very particular set of options that'll let you get the most out of this game's story, and that's kind of what we'll be doing here. Anyway, let us get started and see what we're in for. You wake up disoriented, slumped over in the base of an empty cryosleep pod. still damp from cryo fluid. The thick dust from the floor clings to your skin, leaving a clean spot on the ground where a large O5 is painted. Across the room, there's an open door to the walkway and a broken window leading outside. Just as you gather your wits, an unearthly scream erupts from down the hall beyond the doorway. Something is coming. Fast. So yeah, the game is split between the general navigation of the world and the special encounters where your skills come into play directly. So you can see we've got several options to deal with the incoming threat. We can hide, we can hack the doorway, or rig it with electrician. If we didn't have any of the skills that would be applicable here, we could just jump out the window, but we'd take a few cuts and there'd be some negative repercussions. So we'll select hiding here, and we'll get a little more information about what's coming. You quickly scan the room for a hiding place and duck behind the cryo tank nearest the window. Hopefully the light from outdoors will make it harder to see you in the nearby shadow. And with most of the room smelling of cryoprotectants, you stand a pretty good chance of having your scent masked. You hold your breath as something enters the room. Its heavy breathing becomes more nasal as it begins sniffing the air. The sniffing grows louder, but continues further into the room. It lets out an annoyed bark, huffs, and starts sniffing back into the hall. A few minutes later, you're pretty sure it's out of earshot again. So yeah, as you can see, it's not just that we've been sprung from a cryotube. There are monsters running around this world. Awesome. So let's look around here. Let's start with the console. You check the console for any patient info and come across 3 records. Tank 1, Anton Blubber. Committed 2012, 11/11. Hey! So close to Skyrim launch date. Emergency contact, Angela Blubber, 45 Campbell Street, Detroit, Michigan, etc., etc. The one of interest is tank number 5, us. Philip Kindred, fantastic, we're a Phil. Committed 2019, September 15th, no data. Billing info, account 2014, 11/17, Detroit Savings Bank. So that's the only clue we've got to go on as to why we got put in here. We're going to have to make it to Detroit and find this information, if indeed there's any information to be found. So let's look around some more. Now, thanks to tracking, we can check the tracks in the room. There does appear to be more information here. The dust on the ground makes it easy for your trained eye to pick out one set of tracks in particular. They seem to belong to a humanoid dragging something, probably a mantle or cloak. It was here fairly recently, probably in the last 24 hours. It entered through the doorway, walked to your stasis tank, went to the control console, and then left. So someone intentionally sprung us. This was no accident. Imagine waking up and discovering you were a Phil, though. I know, right? That's the real survival horror there. Anyway, time to climb out. Having to find Detroit. Usually one wants to do the opposite of that. Yeah, no kidding. If we had anywhere else to go, we'd go. But yeah, you decide to go outside and see if you can figure out where you are. Avoiding the broken glass, you step out onto the sill and outside, rustling some plants that have grown wild in the area. It's cool outside and damp. Probably morning. The distant report of a gun catches your attention. You cock your head, listening, but it's over as quickly as it started. Obviously, you're not alone out here, though that doesn't necessarily comfort you. You're in the parking lot of Giga's cryo facility, but everything looks disused and in disrepair. Plants have pushed their way through the pavement and over the facility. Worst of all, nothing looks familiar. You don't remember this place or even who you are. Your frustration mounts, but you catch it and put it in check. Might as well take a look around. Alright. So this is the main gameplay. We'll be navigating here on the world map and looking for resource nodes to scavenge from. As you can see, we're just clad in the hospital gown here. Let's see. Oh, bother. Is this... Okay, here we go. So the menu is... I full screen the game. The menu buttons are a little different here. So let's look at what we're actually carrying. Basically nothing. We have a hospital gown. We've got the strap with our name on it. This leather talisman, or this talisman on a leather string, and that's it. As you can see, we are barefoot, and that is going to start coming into, that's going to start being a problem. Big part of the early game challenge is just getting clothes, which is very RNG dependent. You can sort of work around it with practice. In the earlier game, you might as well just YOLO it to the nearest scavenging square and see where it coughs up. Yeah, it's this game. Oh boy. Alright. Now, there is a good source of early game loot straight north, and we'll be headed there eventually. And often that'll have just enough to survive on, but again, this isn't something the game communicates. You're expected to stumble and make mistakes in the early game, and just getting deeper in means learning to navigate these starting hurdles. It's uncompromising, which is rare in the genre. Anyway, let's take a look at this city square here, or hex. As you approach the town, there's no sign of activity. Buildings stand in ruin. Vehicles are overturned and blackened with fire. Explosion marks radiate outward from the walls and pavement. In the distance, strange-looking creatures circle in the sky, like monstrous, leathery vultures. The world has drastically changed from what you knew. Some sort of cataclysm has befallen Earth, returning mankind to the Dark Ages. And along with it, your hopes of finding a warm meal and some answers. You decide to look around and scavenge what you can from the ruins. And that's going to be the game. We're basically going to have to find areas where we can scavenge stuff with, keep these meters up, keep from freezing to death, keep from starving, and keep from being eaten as we find out what the hell's going on. Yeah, average day in the Midwest, exactly. This is basically our lives to a T out here. Hey, good to see you, Mirage. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Let's see. Here we go. Scavenge. So yeah, when you get to a square with a scavenge that you can scavenge from, you'll see it has these magnifying glass icons here, and that'll tell you that there's a location you can start picking stuff from. In this case, there's only a few abandoned houses and some mobile homes, and everyone you scavenge from is going to take one of your moves for the day. Now, you usually have about 5, but because we're barefoot, that's been reduced down to 4. So let's pick one and start looking around. So as you can see, there's a little lore blurb for everything you search, and that gives you a basic flavor of what you're looking at. Lazing about after a day, grinding IS5 and Arc, nice. Almost done with the rewards track. Nice, nice. Yeah, good luck out there. Anyway, the suburbs were hit hard in the collapse, with masses of people fleeing urban centers in search of supplies and supernatural threats encroaching from the wilds. The suburbs became the front lines in a war for survival. Still, houses like these are so numerous that some have been entirely missed by scavengers, and they tend to be less likely to fall over in the bigger buildings in the urban centers. So many mods. Oh, man. Yeah, my man over there just modding Skyrim to the gills. Not the big mega mod that he talked about last night with Stalker, but he showed me the list in Discord. It is substantial. That game, the community has been keeping busy there. Anyway, as you can see, when you scavenge a place, there's the chance of it coughing up loot, there's the risk of taking on an injury or condition as you do so, and there's the likelihood of being detected here. So the mechanic skill is actually very useful when you're scavenging, because that will prevent most obvious injuries. It'll at a slight cost to your chance for loot, and it'll give us a little bit more of an edge in finding stuff. Hey, look at this! Nice! This is actually a rare treat. We got some jeans and we got a shirt here. We're off to a good start. Now, jeans are valuable other than pieces of clothing. That's an additional pocket, and that can actually hold stuff with us. So we'll want to grab this. We'll want this soup can. The soup can itself can contain stuff, and we're going to want this foil. So as you can see, this is the kind of game where a lot of the miscellaneous junk you find on the ground is going to have some utility later on. Sometimes niche utility, sometimes specific utility, or general purpose utility, but it's going to be useful, especially in the early game. So might as well take this glass shard with us. We can use that to make a better weapon. Now, might as well try scavenging another abandoned house. Yeah, no useful items found this time. Now, you do need to be mindful, because there are other threats out there, in addition to the need for managing your meters here. The more you stick around to scavenge, the more likely you are to attract attention, usually from wildlife, sometimes from hostile humans. We're actually going to use our last move here to scavenge the cryo facility, which has a couple special uses with the skills we have. So yeah, despite its high-tech appearance, the facility seems to be tucked away out of the wilderness, out of sight. This bodes well for the chances of finding something of value, or even shelter, provided nothing else is set up shop here with the same ideas. Now, fortunately, the dogman we found earlier is long gone, and what we find is this window, which we can use to get us back into the facility. So if we wanted to, we could look around the facility again, check the console, check the tracks, but this time we have a new option here to explore down the hall. Outside the cryo chamber, there's a debris-filled corridor that looks disused. You climb over piles of refuse and rubble and come across a blocked doorway. A plaque on the wall reads Exam Room 17. Forcing the barricade open, you peer into what looks like a clinic exam room. While there appears to be not a little worth looting, this room looks like it'd be a great hole-up site. Exam Room 17 has been added to this hex's campsites. So this will be a good fallback position if we need to hole up in here if the weather starts getting a lot colder. You can see actually the outdoor temperature is now warm because we are now indoors. That'll be a good good use in an emergency. You can also use some of our skills here because you can see there's an okay, exam room isn't much to look at, but it's secure and sheltered from the elements. It looks like the lights might work, if you could figure out how to shorten the wiring. Also, the HVAC seems to be pumping air, probably still powered by whatever runs the tubes in the other room. Someone handy with machinery might be able to rig it to heat incoming air a bit. With little work, this room would make a decent place to hole up in. So yeah, because we have electrical and mechanical skills, we can take a look at this and actually improve the place and make it more suitable for habitation. So yeah, lighting is still in good shape, the wiring's blown. So you can tap the adjoining power circuit, that might get them running. Needs a bit of wiring, small parts, and a tool to do it. So yeah, we're going to need some little repair bits and bobs, and especially a set of tools to do this, but this is doable. Same with the HVAC system. We'll need a tarp, some parts, and a screwdriver, I believe, to get that working. But that gives us some options, and we'll be back here a few times throughout the game, so it's not a bad idea to invest in the place. But in the meantime, let's head out. Now, when you run out of moves, you hit space, and that ends your turn, and then everything else in the game gets to make its turn. And the creatures out there will be on their own agenda. They'll be looking for food, they'll be looking for stuff. Other people will be running around scavenging as well. Some of them will be hostile, some of them will be just people. Let's make our way north and see what else we can find. So yeah, you see here when I arrow over there, it indicates the movement cost of going through. This area is especially bombed out and will cost extra movement to get through. And you can imagine trying to pick your way through a broken city street in bare feet. Not fun. We'll circle around there and head north. Now you notice we're kind of leaving tracks in the ground, and that's especially relevant if any predators are in the area. Usually just dogs, but there are more supernatural threats out there that will hound you aggressively if you're not hiding and covering your tracks. Now in the early game, less of an issue because, again, you're kind of expected to die while you get your feet wet. But later on, that'll be more of an issue. You'll have to pick your fights carefully even after you're better armed. Now as you can see here, there's some stuff on the ground, but because we don't have the botany skill, we don't know if these berries are poisonous or safe to eat. So better to leave these here. There is one rule of thumb you can discover with trial and error. Blue berries are always safe. Yellow berries are always poisonous. Red berries are either or. So something to keep in mind. Again, stuff you're just kind of expected to find out through trial and error. And let's move north. So as you pick your way through the overgrown ruins, a peculiar sound becomes briefly audible. It disappears but picks up again in a moment, as if carried by air currents. It's a distant humming, like small gas engines, out of place in the stillness of empty forests and abandoned buildings. So this is an interesting 6-hex city square that indicates there's kind of a civilization here, and I use that very loosely. There's a lot of hostile humans that sort of explore the area as well, and are searching for areas and will also looking for targets of opportunity like us. But we do have an opportunity to get some gear here, and I don't just mean scavenging this square, although we'll be doing that. Hey! We got some more stuff. Awesome. Ooh, binoculars. We're off to a good start here. And oh! Wow, okay, the game's actually being merciful. Sometimes you end up with some good stuff in the early game. Usually not this nice. So we'll throw on this patchwork hide tunic, and that'll help keep us a little bit warmer. And let's see. Might as well throw these parts in the jean pockets there. We're going to need those. And actually, I think we might be able to make ourselves an actual weapon here. We're going to... Oh, boy. Alright. We got a dude out there with a crowbar. Yeah, techno-barbarism commencing. That's pretty much what's going on here. So yeah, we've got a dude out there with a crowbar. We do not know his intentions, but it is possible to spy on him and get a better sense of whether he's aware of us, whether he's coming our way. But we're going to want to be ready, and that brings us to this game's crafting system. Because I have the range skill, I can use this to make a sling and make use of these stones. Very handy in the early game. Now, that would be this fella right here, which breaks down every single thing you're carrying. And we're going to need to make some string. So what we can do is... Oh, not that. Definitely not that. One ominous tip here. don't ever take the talisman off. We'll demonstrate why towards the end of the stream, but do not take it off. Don't let anyone take it from you, ever. Alright. So what we need is a large piece of string here. Yeah, we're doing that by tearing apart our hospital gown, taking some smaller pieces of string, getting the large piece of string. I know, right? It's so stylish. Oh, damn it. We're going to need, Alright, we're going to need more string. Let's tear apart some jeans. Hopefully not the ones we're wearing. There we go. Now, as you can see here, crafting also takes some moves. Not as much as a full movement space. You've got time to work while the world is going on. But it does take some time to work with assorted material. So, take this, take this, take this. Now you can see here there's a variety of crafting things we can make from here. Usually just different compositions of thread or whatever base material. But in this case, we can make us a sling. Very handy. We're going to David and Goliath this shit. Alright. Now, let's take the parts we dropped. Let's load this bad boy up with some rocks. We'll grab some more rocks. So if this fella wants to look at it, so if this fella looks at us the wrong way, we're going to give him the old what for. Damn it, he's coming for us. Alright. We'll scavenge one of these and then we'll head for the center. That's kind of where the action is. Oh, baby! Alright. So we got us a shirt. We got us a couple shirts. We're on a triple layer for maximum warmth. Still no shoes, unfortunately. There's a makeshift rag shoe. You can do these in a pinch, but they're kind of more trouble than they're worth. You usually just get blisters on your feet regardless. Let's see. We're going to want more foil. Alright, let's head toward the center. And I think this will give you a taste of what to expect from the civilization out here. As the source of the distant sounds finally comes into view, you stop in your tracks, unsure of whether it's safe to continue. Ahead, you see a titanic warehouse, like one of those distribution centers from before the apocalypse. There's a dull roar of ethanol generators, combined with the occasional rev of unsuppressed exhaust from off-road vehicles. Figures seem to be milling around a low extension on the right. The occasional ATV arrives or departs without fanfare. You don't think you've been spotted yet this far out, though with all the activity, it's hard to tell. Alright, we're going to use our binoculars to reconnoiter. Peering into the distance, you see a bright sign reading Zom Zoms, a place to eat, hanging over a giant garage door, fenced off behind tarp and barbed wire. Bright lights, welding arcs, and peculiar shadows can be seen in the fenced area, and more lights from within the warehouse. A semi-trailer attached to one of the loading bays acts as a makeshift gate and pedway into the warehouse. Ragged-looking figures line up alongside the trailer, watched over by armed mercenaries. It looks more like a club than anything else, except for that tarp area. Then you see it. A truck on the other side, offloading prisoners or slaves of some sort. That doesn't bode well, but then people come and go freely everywhere else and are entering voluntarily through the pedway. Now, a lot can happen here, and you can in fact die in this encounter depending on your actions. You can also get certain perks out of there, and there's one path in particular that lets you get certain supplies from a surprisingly helpful individual. We're going to approach the line against our better judgment. While in line, you feel a flutter of anxiety each time the line advances. With each step, you try to catch a glance of what's through the doorway in the trailer, but you still can't tell. Most of the people in line are ragtag looking, wearing mismatched clothes and stinking of sweat. Some confused, others bored. The guards are better groomed by comparison, though you suspect they'd just as soon murder you for your clothes if they weren't being paid. Or, you know, if we had much clothes to begin with. Up a few wooden plank steps, you step inside the semi-trailer, and hollow sounds of a crowd echo down the nearby corridor from the warehouse. To your right is a chipboard and mesh booth, where an attendant is collecting fees and weapons, and stamping people before they walk down the trailer into the warehouse. Stock or spectator? The attendant drones, looking disinterestedly past you. So, we have no idea what's going on here. So, we'll just say, huh? Never mind, she exhales, stamping your hand with a symbol and number, and nods to another grisly merc, who checks you for weapons. You receive a chit for your confiscated items and are ushered down the trailer. You hear the man behind you answer spectator to the attendant, before passing into a wall of sound inside the warehouse proper. Inside, it's one part super club, one part gladiator pit. A wall of sound assaults your ears as you cross the threshold. Part human cacophony, part generator exhaust, mostly frenetic industrial music, and the smell of food and smoke. You can't hear it over the noise, but you can feel your stomach rumble at the smell of sweet barbecue. That cavernous warehouse is dominated by a dirt floor arena with high mesh walls. Spectators ring the pit on 3 sides, the fourth reserved for a large garage door leading outside into the tarp-fenced courtyard. Beyond the door, you catch the flash of welding arcs where it appears scrapyard robots are being prepped. And opposite the garage door, the thing you really care about right now, a wide booth with grills spewing sweet and spicy smoke into the rafters above. People clamor to get at it and walk away with their prize smeared over hands and lips alike. Barbecue. You wade through dirty patrons, intent on manhandling some ribs or beans and rice or whatever it is they've got cooking over there. Who knows how long you've been in cryo, how long it's been since you've had a hot meal. Pressing your way through this final wall of hungry patrons, you get an elbow on the counter and desperately try to make eye contact with one of the servers. A few eternal minutes later, one of the apron-clad food slingers glances at you, and you nod like an excited dog. He reaches into a smoker box, withdraws a loaded skewer, and places it in your hand. Sweet, succulent barbecue. Savoring it at first, you start to grow paranoid it'll be snatched from your hands, and you bear down on it with renewed fervor, huddling with it against your lips as you absently walk away from the grill. This meat. It's like good, fully developed veal. Not young, but not yet beef. Yes, very definitely like that, and not like any other meat you've tasted. In fact, so much that you think no person with a palate of ordinary, normal sensitiveness could distinguish it from veal. Aw, thanks, Becco. Appreciate the head pat. It is mild, good meat, with no other sharply defined or highly characteristic taste, such as, for instance, goat, high game, and pork halve. Yeah, but it goes great with fava beans and a nice Chianti. The steak is slightly tougher than prime veal, a little stringy, but not too tough or stringy to be agreeably edible. The roast is tender, and in color, texture, and smell as well as taste, strengthens your certainty that of all the meats you habitually know, veal is the one meat to which this meat is accurately comparable. Really going into it. Just then, an announcer pipes up. With that same oscillating voice every strip club DJ seems to have, he starts hyping the crowd. "Can you count, suckers?" he shouts. Patrons start yelling back. "I said, can you count, suckers?" On cue, a testosterone-fueled wave of shouts comes from the floor. "Raise those numbers!" he calls with expectation, and everybody raises their fists in unison. The music changes, lights switch to UV, and numbers appear on all the stamped hands. Your heart starts to race as you realize what's happening. Looking around, everyone has a stamp, but most of them don't look like yours. Everyone has numbers, but it's clear now what the symbols are. Most patrons have silhouettes of vultures next to their numbers. You look down at your hand. Yours is a lamb. The announcer calls a number, a low number. You feel a bit nauseous, but also relieved. You raise your hand, nearby patron looking suddenly, then quickly losing interest in it. Let's see. A scream of protest erupts from the far side of the arena. Everybody nearby looks across, where a commotion is starting. A man is hoisted into the air, like a crowd surfer at a concert, and propelled into the arena gate. Patrons claw the remainder of his barbecue from his flailing hands, fighting over it like dogs. Guards wrangle the struggling man and toss him into the dirt floor of the arena as the gate is sealed behind him. The winner is a filthy, weak, and confused-looking human. As he clambers to his feet, a clacking and squeaking sound crescendos from the opposite side of the arena. Cheers start erupting throughout the warehouse as the source of the noise rolls into the arena through the garage door. The bot is little more than a heavy treaded ring of barbed spikes. A haphazardly hung LED ticker sits atop its mast, flickering the words "Morning Star," confirming your suspicions as to its nature. Without pausing, the bot starts closing in on the human, who, to its credit, has given up rattling the gate and is now facing the more immediate danger. He starts circling left, leading the bot to one side of the pit, then dashes right as far as he can, bypassing the bot. The move buys him a few seconds as the bot spins in place on its treads, but he ends up in the same situation on the reverse side of the arena. This continues for a few laps, with the human visibly wearing down. Perhaps realizing his error, he switches tactics and leads the robot towards a support column and allows it to get close before ducking around behind it. The bot starts turning in place, but the tread gets hooked on the pillar, and for a moment it appears stuck. You can sense the tingle of hope in the man as he watches the bot rock to and fro for several seconds. However, the bot's rocking eventually frees it and turns to face him again. Crestfallen, the man returns to his original strategy of dodging the robot like a bullfighter, ever most slowly each pass. It doesn't take long for the robot to wear down its already weakened prey, and it scores its first hit, trampling his leg under it treads. The man's cry of pain is lost in a wave of cheering from the crowd as the robot backs up. The man hardly has time to limp before it rams him again, this time following through and impaling him against the wall. Drunk with bloodlust, the crowd is now screaming as the robot backs away from the stumbling, bleeding man. The bot rams him into the wall one more time and backs away, this time with the human stuck on its spikes. The crowd cries out in ecstasy, which eventually simmers down to a rabble as the arena service personnel remove the entrails. Your mouth agape, you suddenly feel a wave of nausea. You begin looking around, panicked. So yeah, this is where you can bone yourself depending on the options. Now, we have the skills necessary to survive in the arena if we get pulled in, but if we hold still, another option appears. Unsure what to do next, you look around the room anxiously, waiting for something to happen. Word is you've got a good medical plan. The voice startles you, even amidst the shouting crowd, and you turn to find a young man with an old face. He looks to be of Asian descent, with hair like a mop, big aviator glasses, and an improbably white fur coat. Relax, I don't work here. In fact, I'm going to try to make sure you don't either. Come on. He turns and heads toward the garage door. Since that's away from the arena's human-sized gate, you decide to follow. You get the sense he's a patron, too, or at least not with management, as neither guard nor patron seem to pay him much attention. A little bird told me, he shouts over the crowd and music, you might know a thing or two about cryogenics. He talks over his shoulder as he walks, as if tossing words your way. I know a guy who's looking for some heavy-duty cooling units. He may be willing to trade for some info on where to score a few. You arrive at the massive garage door, and the cool air seems tinged with ozone. His name's the Stoat. Come on, dude, I'll introduce you. Out in the robot prep yard, mechanics are tending to their creations. Your companion stops alongside a tall robot, reminiscent of a farm combine. You shudder to think what it does to a human with those blades, but then something inside moves. Crawling out of the feeder house between the blades is a mechanic, who looks around and, satisfied, waves another out. The second looks more like one of the patrons than a mechanic, starved and scared. The pair skulk along the fence line and disappear out of sight. Fur coat guy turns back to you, with a proud yet devious grin on his face. The Stoat is pleased to make your acquaintance. Now, about that medical plan. He suggestively taps his wrist. So, we have some options here. If we give him this bracelet, he'll give us... basically, if we just give him the info, he'll give us a set of gear just for the location of the cryo facility. This doesn't really have in-game ramifications or repercussions. Certainly not. It doesn't endanger our hiding place or anything. But basically, we get better loot if we give him the bracelet, or if we ask about the trade, he might ask us to do a favor for him and give us a special piece of equipment. So we're just going to give him the info for now and just get some basic starter gear. Unsure whether you want to give up the strap, you self-consciously fidget with it for a moment, then read it over once more. Instead, you decide to share the facility address, but keep your name to yourself. Smart, he says, tapping the side of his head with his index finger. You're a smart dude. Tell you what. He pulls out a box from under a flight case near the Combine robot. Here. He opens the box. Unclaimed, lost, and found, let's say. As for me, I may have to check into your fancy clinic soon. I think I'm coming down with a little something. He fake coughs and clears his throat, grinning. Alright, so we actually got some really nice stuff here. We got us a crowbar, more jeans, we've got a boot, so we'll go ahead and put that on, and a sleeping bag. Very handy, this helps us survive basically anywhere, and this is especially useful. This is a multi-tool we can use to start fixing up our home base. Yeah, just a boot, one boot. We'll be lucky if we can find more than that. But, you know, one problem at a time. We'll take the crowbar. That's a very useful tool also. Alright. He looks over your shoulder. Oh, you'll probably also want these back. You turn and see a familiar face from the front gate. She drops your checked items in a lockbox. You cast a glance back at the Stoat and he shrugs. What? I can't do this alone. Your safest bet is to go along the fence where they went. He thumbs over the shoulder, indicating the route the mechanic and patron followed. Unless you're still hungry? He laughs, mocking a vomiting notion. See you around, dude. He calls over his shoulder, walking back to the warehouse. So yeah. Stoat's friend waits as you gather your things from the lockbox. Better make sure you empty that. Once you're ready, head along the fence back to the relative sanity of the wastelands. Alright, so here, if we wanted to, for some reason, we could use this to go back into Zomzoms. But the main thing is to open up our lockbox here and get our stuff back. So getting a sense for the type of world we have stumbled into, and the danger we're in, and the utter degeneracy we're up against. There are some problems here, and it's going to take some doing to sort them out. Now, here's where you start getting into the complexity of navigating your inventory, because we want all this stuff, we can't carry all this stuff. We'll take the sling in the bag here. Double back for more long kebab. Yeah, no kidding. I hate leaving the crowbar behind, but the sleeping bag is way more valuable, and we got the multi-tool. We're good for now. We do want the soup can, however. Alright, here's what we'll do. I'm gonna go ahead and eat these jelly bears. Alright, rotate that, do that there, inventory Tetris. The classic challenge. Alright, let's start heading back before the locals start looking for me. Oh, fuck, here we go. Okay, we got problems. Alright, so homeboy's coming at me with a shotgun, and we have no idea if it's loaded or not. Explosive diarrhea will be disastrous. Well, at this point, I think we've got bigger problems. Now, we are at a disadvantage here. It's possible this guy doesn't have ammo in it, but we don't know that, and there's no way to be sure. So, all we can do right now is make a run for it. We must not be in melee range from the enemy. We're not yet, but we will be soon. So, let's see if we can scurry on out of here. Alright. Stranger advances, but they weren't able to... Okay, so if they're advancing on us, that's good. That means they don't have ammo and the gun's just for intimidation, which is a thing you can do. But now we have options here because we can access our inventory. So what we're going to do... We're going to put this sleeping bag down, and we're going to arm ourselves with a sling. You don't necessarily, if you move back from the enemy, you don't necessarily leave the square, which gives us time to reposition. So we're going to fall back. Alright. Shit. Okay, we tripped. This is a problem. Alright. Has to move one space from target. Alright, screw it. We gotta get up and fight. God damn it. Alright. He's in melee range, and we're both tough, so we're gonna take a beating, but... he's got a shotgun, and that's still a pretty potent melee weapon. So time to back off. Basically, this is going to be a turn-based affair, where every turn you've got a set of actions, and you don't always know perfectly what your opponent is going to do, or their condition relative to your condition. So let's try and get back. Alright. So he hit us once with a rifle butt. That's an issue. It's not the end of the world, but it is a slight concern. What we're going to do is keep running back. And he's going to chase at us. And this should make it easier for us to hit him. We do have the range skills, so we have a pretty good chance of stunning him with this. Let's give it a try. Nice! Alright. We nailed him in the upper right arm with a slung stone. This stuns him, and he's bleeding. This is good. Now let's back off. Alright. Now we get far enough away that he won't be able to get us in one turn. This is also good. So let's fall back. Alright, now he's running for us. And you can kind of see the rhythm of combat here. Basically, you're trying to bait him into overcommitting, striking him when he's weakest, and blocking him when you're at your weakest. Or blocking or evading when you're at your weakest. So let's try sniping him again. Nice, got him again. Alright, let's grab another rock. Fall back again. Damn it, we tripped. Alright, easy does it. Alright. Haha, he fell. Awesome. Alright, now let's pelt the shit out of him. Your sling weapons, your hand-thrown melee weapons and such are usually good at about 10 spaces. Anything longer and you're going to need a firearm or a bow or something. Alright, let's whack him. Nice. He's bleeding, coughing up blood, stunned in severe pain. Let's lay on the pressure. Yeah, he's down, baby. Alright. Now, no mercy. Let's finish the job. Nice. He's into shock. He's basically done. Now, if we wanted to, we could just sneak on out of here and let nature take its course. But I'm not one to leave a job half done. What do we have on hand? This'll do. It's possible he has another boot. You can actually see the equipment he's carrying on him. So you can see he's got some kind of gas mask, a shirt, some pants, and he looks like he's got a left boot, which would be perfect for us. So, let's go get it. Alright, literally kick them when they're down. This is the best strategy. Now, because I don't have any melee skill, it's actually quite hard to physically subdue an enemy, especially with a multi-tool blade. But we will eventually finish him off. Beautiful. Alright. Severe traumatic brain injury. Let's take a look. Alright. So he had a gas mask, which is not too useful without a filter. If we could get to a merchant, it's valuable, but not terribly useful for our purposes. He's got a shotgun, which is great for intimidation, but we do need to carry stuff. And oh, goddamn. Okay, he's got a laptop too. We're going to want that eventually for the hacking skill. So much good shit. You know what? I'll take the shotgun. This will scare people off. We'll be back, and there's other places we can get a sleeping bag. Weapons are far harder to come by. Alright, so we're going to head on down to the cryo facility. I'm going to investigate this shack in the woods. Hey! Oh, a shoulder strap. Oh. And a lighter. Now we're talking. Now we're getting into some raid level gear here. And pistol ammo. Not useful for our shotgun, but we can make something out of it. So, might as well drink the water we found on the ground. And now, with the crafting skill, right, here we go. We can attach this to the shotgun. And that will let us carry the shotgun over our shoulder. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, there's another multi-tool on the ground. Nice. We only need one. We could probably put that on. Improper footwear, it is uncomfortable. Not great, but better than nothing. That'll at least give us 5 moves. So, let's see. Yeah, you know what? We can wear that as well. You can, in general, you can wear up to 3 things around your neck, including your talisman. Alright, so we're actually not doing too bad. Let us head back to the cryo facility. We've claimed our first kill. We've gotten our first set of loot. Life is good. We're living like a scavenger kingpin out here. Let's empty all this stuff out. Take my sling again. Always keep a lighter on you. This has all sorts of uses. And you know what? Might as well keep the bullets on us as well. Those are rare. Alright, let's see if we can fix this place up. Now, let's see. Crafting. We need a tarp for that, unfortunately. But we might be able to get some... get this working. This. Do we have enough parts? Not enough. We're going to need a lot more. Alright. Well, not a bad time to go back north and get what we can from Zomzoms. Ah, damn it, we got blisters. And we walked out of our frickin' sandal there. Alright. Actually, how are we doing conditions-wise? We took a beating on the shoulder. That's fine, it'll heal. If we actually got a cut there, we would have to use some bandages to dress the wound. This is a game where the quality of the bandages... Motherfucker, how many of these guys are there? Okay. So they haven't found us just yet. This is good. So let's see if we can sneak on out of here. Shit. Okay. Alright, we're gonna need to rest soon, unfortunately. So let's see if we can get that, sleeping bag. God. They took the sleeping bag. Of course they did. Actually, wait, no. I think that was on another hex. Alright. Let's grab the crowbar. There it is. Okay, good. shit, we gotta give it the crowbar. Again, this game is a constant parade of Sophie's choices about what important gear to carry with you versus what to leave behind. You just won't be able to grab everything you need, even once you start getting good enough backpacks and means of carrying stuff around. And you can do things like fix up a shopping cart or... oh, shit. Like, drag a box around to carry more stuff, but that limits your options in combat. Oh, okay. As night falls, you notice there's a bright glow coming from the east, easily visible through the treetops. It's no guarantee, but it could be a sign of civilization, maybe even a lead on where you are, or who. And if nothing else, it's as good a landmark to strike towards as any. Now that would be the city of Detroit. And if you open up the big map here, you can see that there's a section called Glow, and that's our first real objective for the time being. It's not a strong lead, but it's as good as we're going to get. Now, we're stuck in the cryo facility for now. Let's take this down. So, let's see. So we'll set down our sleeping bag here. Yeah, no kidding. Truly, it is a long way to Tipperary. Alright. Now, we can... let's see. We're going to hide here. And actually, we're going to want to set up some protection as well. And that's where the soup can comes in. These are incredibly valuable for several reasons. They can be used to cook stuff in. They can contain stuff, as you can see. Unopened ones will actually still have soup in them, which is food, obviously. But in our case, we're going to use that as an early warning system. So if we combine this with this, do we have string? Shit, we do not. We're going to have to make string. I'll sacrifice one of my shirts for the cause. But yeah, you can kind of see the shape of the moment-to-moment decisions in this game. It is demanding that you sweat the small stuff and be very careful about how you proceed, because death is lurking around every corner. Now, wait just a dang minute. Why can't I... normally this would let you set up and... hold on a second. Known recipes. If you click over here, you can actually see the list of things you can make. Yeah, noise trap, one small or medium rigid container, one small thread, one small rigid parts. So is it just the small thread? Yeah, here we go. That's it. Alright, so we only needed the small thread for it. Alright. Perfect. Now, with these, we'll be extra alerted if anybody shows up. And that'll give us time to react. So we can sleep more or less in peace. We still have to eat eventually, and that's going to be an issue. But let's sleep for now. Oh, fucking hell. Alright. Fat lot of searching I can do now. Alright. Time to get ready to party. Alright, wait for it. Son of a bitch. Alright, looks like whoever it is buggered off. That's good. Alright. I think me being hidden helped there, so let's try again. We really have no option at this point. Running out into the dark is suicide. Now we have insomnia, so we're going to keep waking up. All we can do is just keep trying. Again, it's a minor penalty. Alright. Perfect. There's actually a few other things you can do in this area as well. Locations with special encounters and such that would give you more access to tools, other people you can talk to or trade with. The Detroit area is not necessarily the end game, but it's a major location and there's a lot of things to do there and actually a lot of plot revelation there. So we're going to make our way out there and see if we can get some footwear along the way. So off we go. Oh, time to unhide. You're slower when you're sneaking, and that is an issue. I probably should have brought the sleeping bag with, but it's a bit too cumbersome, unfortunately. Alright. Now, let's use a lighter, because that helps us scavenge. That also improves safety. Hey! Alright. A water taster. Now, that's interesting. The parts, however, will be useful. Kind of a more of a late game need. A lot of the water you find will be potable, but not all of it. Bear in mind where you find it. Stuff you find in water bottles is usually safe. Stuff you find lying on the ground, not so much. All good, Ivory. Have fun. We'll see if we actually make it to Detroit. Hey, Twinkies! Fuck yeah! One thing guarantee... Oh! Oh, a tarp. Alright. This might actually give us what we need to set up the cryo facility camp. I'm going to take this back there and we'll get that going. This is something that will absolutely be useful. Alright. Uh-oh. We got doggos. Feral... That's a problem. Yeah, no. We're gonna book it. Hide the tracks. Get the fuck out of here. Individual dogs are not a huge problem. Packs of dogs are a major problem. They can and will wear you down. It's that kind of game. Alright. So we've got a hike ahead of us, and we're going to need to bed down at some point. With any luck, we'll be able to find food along the way. And the further we get from Zomzoms, the less we have to worry about hostile humans, although there are humans still running around being a nuisance. You're more likely to find people just out there doing their thing. Alright, evening, huh? Night is falling. Now with the binoculars, we're actually seeing further than we usually can, thanks to our poor eyesight. So it's a very handy thing to have. Ah, shit. Okay. So night has fallen, and this isn't ideal. But at least we are not tired, and we can kind of press on. We are thirsty, however, and that is an issue. God, yeah, we're not even a quarter of the way there. So you can kind of see that the thrust of the game is... Ooh, alright. Got a city block with some lights here. This is good. So you can see when you're running around in the darkness, we only had one move per turn. But when we get to a square with some lighting here, like this city square here, we're back to 3 moves, which gives us more time to actually search around and find stuff. This is good. Alright. Ooh, painkillers. Handy, that. Now, not all medicine is going to be good for you, and that's one of the uses of the medic skill back at the starting screen. That'll tell you what pills actually do, but usually if you find a pill bottle with stuff in it, you can trust that the pills will match the container. Usually. Alright. Still nothing. God damn. Alright, what we'll do is we'll double bag this. Let's take you. We'll take you. And we'll take you. Every rock we can get helps. Alright. Oh, fuck me. Alright. Drop down and take cover. Oh, hey! Oh! Alright. So these, I think, are not hostile to us. These look like Detroit City Guards on patrol. So, let's offer to talk. Was at the 5:35 by the 2-0. He stopped speaking to the radio, disappointed at your interruption. What you need? Let's see. So we can actually ask questions here. Are there any other cities nearby? Are there any other cities nearby? His head is shaking before you finished. No. Closest thing you got is Fort Wayne down by below the swamp. Gotta get there by air, though. Is it like the DMC? Nah, not like this. Never been there myself, though. Alright. So what's the story with the swamp? Chemical wash, he responds quickly. Nobody's permitted down there. Highly toxic. We haven't seen this, but we will actually pretty soon. Yeah, but why? Some crops got out of control back in the day. Had to burn them with chemicals. His radio pops up and he turns slightly from you. Then he walks away, speaking into the mic. Alright, so it's daytime and the cops are here. Fortunately, they're not going to hassle us, so long as we don't cause any problems for them. So we're free to go and continue on our way. Alright, we need to find some water fast. If we can find a stream, we can get a good source of that. Ooh, blueberries. Here we go. These are safe. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. Alright. Yes, perfect. Perfect! Alright. Let's check this house out here. Houses in the woods are usually good sources of loot, and they're worth spending your resources on. Yep, not much, but another lighter. Can't have too many of those. Alright, there's some water over here. We'll take a chances with it. Alright. Blueberries good, yellowberries bad. Alright. So yeah, some nodes have items you can use to create craftable items here. So we'll use this lake to get some water. Yeah, yummy yellowberry pile. Yellowberry pie. Hey, Orange, good to see you. Alright. Now, important tip and kind of a UI cheat here, but different types of water will not stack with each other. So usually if you get stacks of 2, that's clean. If it's stacks of 1 or stuff that doesn't stack together, that is not clean. The only sure way to know is to test it, but usually if you get it like this, it's safest to destroy the single stacks and drink from the double stacks. It's not a guarantee, but it's better than nothing. Alright, we'll use that again. Good. Now, we're going to need food for a while. We can go a little bit longer without that. Alright, let's get back on the road. Uh-oh. Someone following us. Further east. About halfway there. We're going to need to rest eventually. Actually, this might not be a bad place to bed down. Alright, here we go. Damn, this lighter's almost out. A pocket knife, fantastic. Yeah, that's a big help. Alright. Let's settle down here for the night. Alright. Not a lot of shelter out here, unfortunately. Sometimes you can use the locations in the map itself, sometimes you can't. We'll see if we can get to an actual building. God damn. Alright. Let's search here. We might as well. It's risky searching at night. Oh! Oh, shit, yeah! We got a boot. And it actually matches the boot we have here. Now, it's in very low condition. It won't last us long, but it's better than nothing. Everything's coming up, Philip. Alright. Son of a bitch. Alright. Take cover. Now, we want to be sure we're not attacking the guards here, because that is a thing that can happen. We're going to set this down. Grab my sling. And carefully announce our presence. Alright, looks like they moved off. That's good. Alright. But yeah, there's not a lot like this in terms of the mix of survival element. Oh, hey, a sleeping bag and a much more, a smaller, more compact one. Now we're talking. But yeah, there's not a lot that mixes this hardcore survival elements with the science fiction and supernatural elements of this setting, where you are more likely to die from the elements than you are any of the actual monsters running around, but also there are literal monsters running around. Alright, let's get some... For fuck. Who is it? Alright, it's just them. Just keep your nose clean, we got no trouble, he says through his face mask. Yeah, yeah. Alright, back to sleep. But yeah, one really cool thing about this is that a lot of the fantastical elements are based on real-world mythology, especially native to the Midwestern U.S. Like, some are just generalized supernatural weirdness, but the dogmen we saw in the intro, the melon heads that are running around the game, things like the Enfield monster and the Nain Rouge, all that is stuff you'll find referenced IRL, and that kind of becomes an important part of the game's story as you go. From what you piece together, we essentially have us a Shadowrun situation where myth has become real, and it manifests in some pretty interesting ways. Essentially, this is a stealth cosmic horror game, and we're so far down in the chain of consequences that we never fully understand all that's happened. We have a role to play in this, but there's only so much we can realistically do about it. Hey, shopping cart. Now we're getting somewhere. Now, the vehicle screen is somewhat of a misnomer. Basically, you use this for any containers that you are pushing around. This slows down your movement in combat, but it radically allows you to carry a lot more than you otherwise normally would. Very good for shopping trips. Alright. Now, not a lot of goods here, but since we're getting close to Detroit, we're going to want to start picking up stuff that is worth some money. So, we'll pick up these cargo pants. And I guess we'll take the shorts and the jeans. That's worth a few bucks there. Assorted small parts. Yeah, I think we're alright. Trying to get a move on. I see we got another enterprising fellow out there with a spear. And if you're so inclined, you can actually go into the woods, get a stick, and start and use like a glass shard or something to carve it into a proper spear, and that'll serve you decently in the early game. Again, there's a lot of interesting things you can do depending on the skills you have and the things you run across. Alright, we'll go ahead and take that cell phone. And while there's only so many ways you can build your character, there's surprising flexibility in how you approach day-to-day survival. What is your preferred tactic for getting around, how you get food, how safely and how efficiently you can scavenge. Again, there's not a lot of games that mix the nitty-gritty of survival with such an open area, with such an open world and so much lore behind it. Alright, we'll take this. That hoodie's about to go. Huh. The shoe's about to go, but we'll take that as well. We're going to be selling for peanuts here. We're actually getting very hungry, so it's a good idea to make our way to the city as fast as possible. And thirsty again. God damn it. We're almost there, however. As you step into a clearing, you finally see the source of that eastern glow. It's a city, larger than any you've ever seen. Skyscrapers and their bigger brothers arcologies stand shoulder to shoulder, casting their glittering lights into the sky. Hovering lights flit around the super towers like fireflies. A massive wall encircles their base, with armed buttresses like glowing points on a crown. And radiating out from that wall, a shantytown of crumbling buildings, shacks, and tarp lean-tos. Relief at the sight of civilization almost overtakes you until you realize you still have to make it there. That, and scavenging promises to get a lot harder near the city, as nearby ruins will have been picked over already. Alright, so we're almost there. In fact, I believe, yeah, that's the glow we saw from the map. Now, fortunately, we can get food if we can start making some cash, and we've got enough junk on hand that we can sell it. Let's take a look at this square down here, though. Devastation on a monumental scale mars the land before you. It looks as if someone hosed down an entire county with toxic chemicals, set it on fire, then bombarded it with artillery for good measure. Pools of caustic liquid are everywhere. Most everything that once was here has dissolved, melted, or burned or turned to dust. Hardier materials have eroded more slowly, leaving skeletal evidence of small towns, farmsteads, tree trunks, and creatures. Toxic miasmas float in some places, clinging to the ground where reactions release them into the air, and warning signs, both official and homemade, litter the boundary. And the silence here is deafening. No birds, no critters, not even insects. Nothing stirs in this caustic swamp of destruction. Nothing lives here, or at least nothing is alive here. So yeah, the writing is very strong, and it gives a good sense of what has happened to the world in the absolute broadest strokes, without making it clear, without making the exact sequence of events clear. It leaves a lot to the it engages with the imagination, kind of a sense of wonder. And it works very well at painting a picture, whether it's something science fiction-y, like the city we're about to go to, or something more supernatural or outright horrific, like the monster we encountered at the start of the game. Anyway, you hear them before you see them. People. Lots of them. Pushing branches aside, you're presented with the city you saw from afar. A hybrid between a shanty town, a refugee camp, and RV park skirts the massive walls of the city. So in other words, Detroit as it is today. Basically, yeah. Hey, Kirby. Everywhere you look, people navigate the winding, muddy roads, carrying supplies, patching holes in shelters, or arguing over property. Smoke from 1,000 camp stoves and barrel fires trail upward, and the scent of cooked food elicits a gurgling from your stomach. Nary an eye pays any attention to you, just one of dozens of ragtag corpses shuffling in from the wasteland. Beggars, customers, hopefuls, prey. Welcome to DMC's Sprawl. Alright, now, we can go straight to the main gate if we want to, but there are other services out here that don't require entry into the main city itself. Oop, drink time, alright. And we will want to partake, because we are getting very, very hungry. So, let's see here. Where is... here we go. This is the junk market. So this is where we actually sell stuff. So as you navigate the winding alleys of DMC Sprawl, you encounter a huge structure fashioned out of shipping containers. Throngs of people enter and exit the structure through the doorway on one side. Inside, you can see a thriving bazaar where people trade scavenged items in the light of 1,000 lanterns and bug zappers. The air is thick with sweat, smoke, and the smell of barbecue and spices. This is the Sprawl's notorious junk market. Alright, so this is where we can actually trade stuff. So, yeah. Hardware, software. If hardware, software is not switched on and unlocked, vendors will only pay the hardware's value as if it were empty. So this is where the hacking skill comes in. If you have a tablet and the hacking skill, or a laptop or whatever, you can crack it open and actually sell the data that's in there. But the machine has to be on, and the data has to be unlocked. Otherwise, it's just worth whatever the laptop is. And that's one of the more niche uses of a skill, but it's also very good at quickly getting money if there's valuable data on there. And yeah, again, medicine, vendors will only pay a nominal fee for unidentified pills. So you're starting to see the, soft use of your skills throughout the game. It's not just the immediate use of survival, it has to do with the information your skills have access to. Alright, time for a pun? Alright, let me see here. Hang on a sec, let's do some trading. Oh! Hello, gorgeous. Alright. See, those rifles with some ammo, which is good. Unfortunately, no shotgun ammo. Let's dump out some stuff. So, let us take a look here. We're gonna empty this out. Booyah! 160 bucks. Actually, we're gonna want this back. We'll take that. 80 bucks. There we go. That's better. We'll want to hang... Oh, wait. I have more than one. Fucking A. Sell that. Sweet! Oh, God. Shopping. You might say it's a real pain in the cash. Ha ha! Alright, but seriously, we're gonna need this backpack. Now, if you have the money, you can buy a bracelet that will get you inside the city straight out. It's 3,000 bucks. It's not a small amount of hustling. Or you can do favors for some people of a disreputable nature here in the Sprawl. In fact, we'll meet one of them very shortly. Let me see if I can find the... Here we go. Alright, so as you step around a muddy tarp shanty in the edge of the Sprawl, you stumble across an old fifth wheel with smoke streaming from the stovepipe. People are lined up outside, taking turns ordering a window. You're standing outside the Last Chance Canteen. Originally named for its location on the outskirts of the Sprawl, locals often joke that the Last Chance Canteen is in fact the warning to prospective patrons. Known for serving whatever is available, as well as a few suspect staple dishes, the Last Chance is a venue for those hungry and not too fussy about their food's origins. Still, the old fifth wheel draws enough lines to keep its grills hot, so nobody must have died from their food yet. Alright, so we can buy some relatively cheap food here. And, you know, it's all of varying nutritional quality. These salads are usually safe. We'll get the veggie with the mixed protein crispers. And that gives us both food and water for $7 a pop. It's not bad. Alright. Better than nothing. You take what you can get. Again, if we had the botany skill, we'd be able to fill up along the way with stuff we find in the woods, or if you had the trapping skill, you'd be able to catch small animals and get meat that way. The alternative is killing animals, or people, if you were feeling adventurous, killing them and then cooking their meat directly, which of course requires a bladed instrument to cut them up, and a lighter to start a fire with. It's more appetizing than Kenshi food. Yeah, you know. Say what you will about Kenshi, their bars are comfy as hell. Whoop. But, yeah, let's, exit here. What's going on here? Alright, let's get some rest in. And we'll make a camp around the trash fire. Very classy. Just living that homeless crackhead lifestyle. You're relatively safe here. There are occasions where if you wake up and, like, panic flail at whoever approaches you, you might accidentally hit a guard and start a huge fight. But for the most part, you're safe enough to crash here. And it's not terribly likely that you'll personally be robbed, but obviously anything on the ground is at risk of being stolen. Beautiful, beautiful. In fact, we'll go ahead and leave that sleeping bag there. Anything you leave in a camp square is usually untouched. Like, if you leave it on the ground, it is most likely to be robbed. This, by the way, is a good way to get power. Just tap into a local generator. But anything you leave in a specific campsite is less likely to be grabbed. So we're good there. Now, let us head over to the wall and see what happens. Navigating the twisty maze of sharks and tarp shelters, Detroit's massive walls stand as a constant backdrop to the east. Easily half a dozen stories high and probably almost as thick, the city walls are an impressive sight to behold. Armed towers, bristling with surveillance arrays, stand at regular intervals, keeping watch over the sprawl and likely the city within. Before you, giant vid screens on the three gatehouses flash instructions about pass requirements and threat levels, as flocks of people stream into and out of the gates. You take your place in the line on the right, with the others entering the city. When you reach the front of the line, a sinking feeling overcomes you. Heavily armed guards in full combat armor are checking attendees with some sort of scanning device. You're pretty sure that whatever these folks have to get in, you're missing it. When it's your turn, the guard stops you and turns to a monitor installed on the wall. A message reads, "Device not detected. Entrance denied." With the efficiency and compassion of an assembly line worker, again, great evocative writing here, he directs you away from the line back outside. Unfortunately, getting entrance to the city may be trickier than just showing up. Back outside, you cross the muddy square and stop to survey the area. Where do you go now? Would anyone in the sprawl know about the cryo facility? You're startled when you notice a man has been watching you. He's wearing a long brown coat and matching hat and is leaning on a walking stick. From this distance, you can almost see the glint of his eyes below the trilby's brim, though it's probably just your imagination. He takes his time approaching you, and as he nears, you notice there's a heavy maculage on his face? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm assuming it's like some kind of makeup or something. Reminds me of one of those old portraits you'd see in a history textbook. "Folks call me Hatter," he says matter-of-factly. "I think we may be able to help each other. Come with me." Hatter's office is in the husk of one of these flophouse hotels you'd see crammed between high-rises in a busy city. It even has the old marquee, hanging precariously from the cornerstones. Several floors up, armed guards watch over the street from the missing sections of the building. Hatter acknowledges the men at the door and leads you through a surprisingly clean lobby to an old-fashioned elevator. I have a client, he starts, pausing for the cage to rattle shut, who collects heirlooms. He speaks louder over the motor. He compensates well. Well enough, in fact, that he'd be willing to part with a DMC visitor's pass in exchange. The elevator clunks to a halt, and the door rattles open, revealing a dark room lit by video screens and old lamps. Stepping off the elevator, it feels like you've walked into a control center built into an antique store. Baubles and relics crowd the walls and tabletops, while video screens and computer consoles cast a bluish tint on the handful of armed guards. Hatter crosses the room to sit at a low, broad desk facing the elevator. There's a lake. He pulls out a worn atlas from a desk drawer, about a day's walk northwest of here. Inside the building there's a silver urn. He pages through the atlas to a map of Michigan. My guess is that you know a thing or two about getting around out there, and maybe this could be your ticket into the DMC. Interested? So, this is interesting. If we agree to this, that gives us a mission to go out to this place. This is, without giving too much away, this has complications. Hatter doesn't necessarily know about this, but there are threats waiting for us at the sites that lend more into the, supernatural nature of the threat waiting for us. But we can also use our skills here. The electrician skill lets us negotiate for a security upgrade. That means if we find some iPads and such, we can help him improve his security setup. Or tracking lets us bypass this entirely. Yeah, there'd never be bad things at the mission site. I know, right? But yeah, because we have the tracking skill, we can ask about the odd tracks on the ground. And pay very close attention to this. Though the floor here has a lot of distracting marks, there's one set of tracks that stands out from the regular foot traffic. A humanoid dragging something, probably a mantle or cloak, has recently obscured much of the older markings on the floor here. A lot of your clients dressed like the Grim Reaper? You ask. Hatter stops immediately, tilting his head just enough to peer at you from under his brim. He says, leaning back in his creaky chair. Turns out maybe you are worth the extra attention you seem to have garnered. He looks down at a blank spot on his desk, considering something important, and starts talking at it. Your Reaper, as you call him, had a particular interest in you. He leans forward and starts interacting with the security console. Interested enough to open this urn contract with express instructions that it only be assigned to you. Said I'd find you trying to enter the DMC. Said he'd front the cost of a visitor's pass if I got you to do it. He finishes a keystroke, then gestures to the wall monitors. Hat or brim instead of whatever word they used earlier. Yeah, I think whatever Keelage meant is referring to his face than the hat. But anyway, one of the monitors switches to the view of this room, with cycling timecode in the lower corner. After a few seconds of fast-forwarding, it switches to real-time playback. There, standing where you are now, a black mass about the size of a man talks with Hatter. The details seem to be glitchy, as if there was some dark-colored static distorting the signal, but only around the figure. What's with the censoring, you ask? Dunno, he says. Look normal in person. Must be some EM interference. Discussion is short, punctuated by the figure handing Hatter a small object, then leaving. As a rule, I don't disclose client info like this, he stops the video, but you seem like a decent type. More to the point, resourceful. And while money talks, I'll take a competent operative over cash any day. He reaches into a drawer and pulls out a small black wristband. The pass is yours. I'll keep my ear to the ground for any info on this Reaper fellow and let you know. And hey, he says before letting go of it, maybe you come around again when you're looking for work. Alright, so, thanks to the tracking skill, we got ourselves a free pass into the city. Kick ass. But what about that Grim Reaper fellow? Now, you may remember the tracking skill let us see a very similar set of tracks at the very start of the game, at the cryo facility. This guy wearing a cloak, whoever he was, whatever he was, sprung us free. So what's going on here? Well, we're about to get a very big clue. Remember how I said don't ever take the talisman off? This is why. We're gonna take it over here, just put it in our inventory, and wait. There's a sudden roar and a rush of dry air as blinding blue-white light bathes the area. Formless darkness begins to appear from within, and soon it emerges, an impenetrably black silhouette, endlessly casting off fragments of itself. Orange burns from its center, pierced by the scattering fragments of black. It's already moving by the time you can resolve its shape, and its crude, chalk-white face is fixed on you. Oddly, something strikes you as familiar about this thing, like you've seen that fragmenting pattern before. Hatters? Is this thing in the security footage? Is this the thing in the security footage Hatter showed you? And that mantle of blackness, it would definitely leave a dragging pattern on the floor, like the one in the cryo facility. As it starts closing the gap towards you, your mind snaps back to the present. Alright, time to meet the game's apex predator, the Murger Wraith. This is essentially a super boss and a persistent threat if you ever take the necklace off or if anything ever takes it off for you. It is persistent, it is relentless, and it is amazingly hard to kill, certainly with the weapons we have here. All we can do is run and put the necklace back on. Now, it will engage anybody that gets in the way of us. In fact, you can see here it appears to be going up against this guy here. So we might as well see how this turns out, because it might actually just waste this dude for us. So yeah, you can see it's steadily advancing toward us. It will never rush the player. You'll always have time to back off. You can actually kind of kite it indefinitely. But now you can see it has engaged us. So it's not going to be any... So I don't think this guy is going to be any help against it. Although... Let's see, he's advancing toward... Oh, wait, no, that's us. Never mind. Shit. That figures. Alright, it is possible to actually lure this thing into enemy groups and have it fight them and usually kill them. There are rare, like exceedingly rare cases where you can lead this into overwhelming opposition and they will eventually destroy it. But that can take a while and is not always reliable. Like, I think your best course of action there is to lure it into a battle with the Detroit guards. They'll eventually call for backup and they bring out gunships, which are much more of a match for it. And I think it can't actually hurt them. But it's questionable if they'll ever actually destroy it because it can regenerate. Anyway, let's put the talisman back on and it'll eventually bugger off. So yeah, it'll back off a few paces out and eventually disappear entirely, but now we know it's waiting for us if we ever take this thing off. So the mystery expands. Not just what happened to us, but what happened to the world. What does this talisman have to do with the creature? What does it have to do with the obviously supernatural things that have happened to the world? What's waiting for us inside Detroit? These and other mysteries are waiting for you if you can continue to survive, and that's the appeal of this game. It is hardcore in what it asks of you, but there's something fascinating about the unfolding mystery, and there's a real sense of accomplishment as you overcome very mundane hurdles to get closer to the truth. It's a very cool game, it's a very interesting experience, and it's one of those games I have to recommend with a whole host of caveats and cautionary statements, but there's just not a lot doing what it does, and that's a big reason why I like it so much. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a good night. We will be back to Stalker 2 on Saturday, so until then, see you next time.